When we picture visitors from another world, we almost always think of extraterrestrials. In other words, visitors from another planet. But what about visitors from another dimension? Could it be that humans have been visited by interdimensional beings in the past? Could these extradimensional visitors explain some of the strangest events in paranormal history? Let's find out.
There's 51 million people entering another
surveillance camera capturing the
unidentified flying object.
lockdowns and mass testing.
today that the world is going to end.
If we assume that interdimensional beings exist, then our universe must be structured in a multidimensional manner. In other words, there are multiple planes of existence in which sentient life forms can live. These dimensions may be lower or higher in density than our own, meaning that while they exist, we can't see or touch them. Of course, some of these beings may have discovered a way to break into our reality, perhaps influencing it from beyond the veil of our senses in subtle, yet real ways. Some say that ancient tales of demons and angels are actually real accounts of interdimensional beings. If this is true, then it is likely that these beings continue to exist among us to this very day, completely invisible to everyone except the most psychically attuned individuals. The truth is that many ancient cultures tell stories about being visited by gods, beings that come down from the sky and provide incredible knowledge to humanity. The most notable of these stories involves Mesoamerican and Mesopotamian cultures. Some believe that the infamous Anunnaki were not extraterrestrials, but rather interdimensionals. It's worth noting that in the original Testament, descriptions of angels are anything but friendly. In fact, they seem a lot more like nightmarish beings than the winged angels most of us picture. Ezekiel 1 describes cherubs as odd human-animal hybrids, a disturbing mix of oxen, lions, angels, and humans. The text also describes a type of angel called an ophanim, in equally disturbing terms. Ophanim were floating sets of concentric wheels with eyes, and they were said to sparkle like topaz. Only the so-called messenger angels actually looked like humans, while the rest seemed like something out of a bad trip on psychedelics. Speaking of psychedelics, some people believe that Moses was high on the fumes of the burning bush when he saw God. According to researchers at the Hebrew University, there are many plants in the Sinai Peninsula that are psychoactive in nature, containing the same mind-altering compounds as ayahuasca. But does this mean that Moses was just imagining things when he saw God? Perhaps not. Perhaps the psychoactive drug simply allowed him to become aware of another dimension, a dimension inhabited by powerful, omniscient beings. The active ingredient in ayahuasca is DMT, although the effects of this chemical can only be experienced if the mixture contains monoamine oxidase inhibitors. The discovery of ayahuasca is something of a mystery itself, since researchers have no idea how the people of the Amazon managed to create it. The Amazon jungle has thousands of different plant species, and yet somehow, ancient people were able to mix two of these plants to create a mixture with both DMT and monoamine oxidase inhibitors. One of the strangest things about ayahuasca is that users report seeing interdimensional beings. Not only that, but users report seeing the exact same beings. This is very rare, as users of psychedelics tend to envision patterns and concepts that are reflective of their own minds.
You want to talk about little people? Do you want to talk about the elves?
Elves?
The
Like
elves.
which ones?
The machine elves.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that these elves are real?
I don't know if real's the right word. The question is, we look at consciousness and we look at like an intelligent entity as being in a physical carbon-based form that's in front of you that you can shake hands with or give a hug to.
Right.
When you experience what happens when you take dimethyltryptamine, you throw all that out the window because the environment itself is not it's not defined. It's fluid, meaning that it's changing constantly, but yet it seems far more vivid and far more real than this life right now. And there are these things that are there and they communicate with you.
So what do these machine elves actually look like? The term machine elf was first coined by the famous ethnobotanist Terence McKenna. That being said, references to the machine elves can be found in many ancient traditions that predate McKenna's work, particularly among the Native Americans, indigenous Australians, and African tribes. These elves are small in stature and tend to vibrate, moving very quickly and saying things like, "Don't give in to astonishment." True to their name, these machine elves are comprised of mechanical parts and appear as a mishmash of gears and levers. Although they are anthropomorphic, enough to have a face, eyes, and a basic bipedal form. Like many other academics, Dr. Rick Strassman was initially skeptical of Terence McKenna's claims, dismissing the machine elves as mere hallucinations. But when he ran a study on DMT at the University of New Mexico, he stated the following: "I was familiar with Terence McKenna's tales of the self-transforming machine elves he encountered after smoking high doses of the drug. I admittedly chalked up these stories to some kind of West Coast eccentricity. Therefore, I was never intellectually nor emotionally prepared for the frequency with which contact with these beings occurred in our studies, nor the often utterly bizarre nature of these experiences." Even the most reputable scientists concede that interdimensional beings could be real. Helen Sharman, Britain's famous astronaut, once stated, "Will aliens be like you and me, made up of carbon and nitrogen? Maybe not. It's possible they're here right now and we simply can't see them. These entities might exist in a so-called shadow realm, impossible to detect but nonetheless real." You also have to consider the fact that UFO sightings often challenge the laws of physics. These objects often fly with impossible speeds and flight patterns, and they sometimes appear as little more than strange lights. Could these UFOs be interdimensional entities rather than physical objects? At the end of the day, perhaps the various dimensions are separated for a reason. Maybe we will one day witness these dimensions for ourselves, perhaps when we pass. But we cannot completely dismiss the possibility of interdimensional beings, especially not with so many stories and legends involving ghosts, demons, angels, and other strange entities.